Hello, kids. It's your favorite science teacher here, Mr. Ortlieb, back again with the narrated PowerPoint to answer some Castle Learning questions. Okay, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is that we are almost done with the school year. We just have another week to go. Um, I have to have my final grades in on June 17th, which is a week from today. I would just like to let you know that we're going to have two more assignments. I'm considering having a last assignment, an extra credit assignment to increase your grades. Um, I don't know if you know anything about the grading policy, but I'm going to send out a video explaining everything. What I hope you're doing is just doing the best you can to do the work. I tried not to give you too much. I tried to give you some stuff that I think you would do, including Castle Learning. I'm not doing Quizlet anymore, but we're almost done at the end of the year. Sad news is that we are at the end of the year and I can't really address you guys in person. Um, um, but I hope everyone's well. All right, so enough of that. Let me do this PowerPoint presentation and you can answer some questions. All right, so this is going to be ecology. All right, ecology, we're going to talk about ecology. It's a study of how living and non-living things interact in an ecosystem. We'll talk about some vocabulary. Vocabulary is very, very important for this topic. So if you need some help, please refer back to this PowerPoint presentation and to give you some help on the vocab. All right, here we go. Okay, ecology is a study of how living and non-living things interact with one another and their environment. The environment is every living and non-living thing that surrounds an organism. Okay, so everything, living and non-living. The specific environment where an animal or plant lives is known as its habitat. Let me give you some examples. Some non-living parts of the environment are called abiotic factors. Some examples are soil, water, temperature, light, pH, heat. All of these things are non-living, but they are important for living things. Okay, we can include oxygen and carbon dioxide in this category as well. Abiotic, A meaning negative, biotic meaning living. Non-living factors are called abiotic factors. Biotic factors are the living parts of the environment. So, what are the living parts of the environment? Plants, animals, bacteria, predators, prey. We're going to talk about herbivores and carnivores and autotrophs. All of these things are living things. Plants and animals are living organisms. Let's not forget about our microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, there's plenty of others. These are all considered biotic factors. Bio means life, biotic are living parts of the environment. Okay, so here in this picture here, what are the abiotic factors here? So let's start with the biotic factors. The biotic factors, living things, the fish, the plants, the lily pads, the turtle, the deer, the raccoon, the frog, these little grasses growing out. Okay, what are the abiotic factors? Water, you can't see the sun, but you can probably tell that it's daylight. Light is a abiotic factor. The oxygen in the water, abiotic. The temperature of the water, the temperature of the air, all abiotic. How much oxygen's in the atmosphere? Abiotic factors. Biotic living, abiotic non-living. Okay, so the ecosystem, so ecosystem is all the living and non-living things around you, but it's kind of compartmentalized, divided into these categories. So let's start with the biggest one, the biosphere. The biosphere, sphere meaning like round ball, sphere, means the earth, all the livable space on earth, the land, the sea, the air, the ice. There's certain microorganisms that live in the ice. Okay. Now, all the livable space on earth is divided into biomes. So, biomes, we're not going to go into that much, but I'll give you an example. We have rainforest, we have tundra, um, we have a desert. These are all considered biomes, all right? Different types of ecosystems on Earth. Then we have the individual ecosystem, as you can see a picture here, this kind of forest mountain ecosystem with the deer and the elk and the bears and the fish and the owl, okay? All the non-living and living parts that surround an organism. The community are all the living things, all the population of living things, all the owls, all the trees, all the beavers. A population is due to one species, it pertains to one species. So this is a population of elk here in this population category. And then, of course, there are individuals. There's individual elks, there's individual trees, there's individual fish, individual owls. Okay, so this is how some of the ecosystem is categorized. Population, all the individuals of a single species that live in a specific area. So all of the elephants that live on the plains, all of the giraffes, all of the elks, all of the grass, all of the trees. Okay, so single species population pertains to a single species. All of the humans on Earth, human population. The community is the combination of all those different populations, okay? Combinations. So the community in this picture here would include the lion, the zebra, the hyena, the vultures, let's see, the grasses, even the bacteria that grow in the soil, all right? So the community is all of the living things that live in an area. Now, the ecosystem is, like I said before, all the living and non living things that interact in a species area. So we kind of affect the non living things, and the non living things affect the living things. So it's this interaction, it's kind of back and forth. Interaction, we saw this picture before. Here's an interaction in the ocean. We have plants, we have phytoplankton, which do photosynthesis, zooplankton, which eat they're basically the tiny little herbivores in the ocean. We have fish. We have larger fish, the predatory fish, sharks. We have very, very large mammals. All right, they're not fish. Whales are not fish. Okay, we have the birds that interact with them. Okay, so there's a lot of interacting. And of course, this boat here means that there's humans around. We definitely interact with our ecosystems. All right, biosphere, like I said, all of the Earth's living space. I'm not going to spend too much time with that, but you can see the different ones here. Wetlands, savanna, taiga, which is kind of like a forest system, a polar ice cap, lots of them, all the livable space. Parts of a community. All right, let's talk about the vocab that you need to know. For the questions that follow. Producers, autotrophs. Autotrophs are the plants. They make their own food. You can also use producers. Producers, autotrophs, same word. Producers use chemical reactions to perform photosynthesis in the leaves, which make glucose and oxygen. So if you do photosynthesis, you're a producer. You're an autotroph. Here are some examples here. Grass, trees, and algae, which is an organism that lives in fresh water and photosynthesizes. Protists, some protists, they do photosynthesis. So basically, if you do photosynthesis, you're an autotroph. Okay, let's talk about some consumers. Consumers are ones that can't make their own food. They are the animals, if you will. Okay, consumers are also called heterotrophs. To remember the beginning of the year, we talked about heterotrophic nutrition, which means you can't make your own food. You got to eat something. Okay. So there's different types of consumers. I'm going to talk about them. First one I want to talk about is a herbivore, also called a primary consumer. It's the first consumer. They eat only plants. So some common herbivores here, the zebra, the sheep, the giraffe, the cow, they only eat plants. Herbivores eat plants. Carnivores, sometimes called secondary consumers or second consumers. They're organisms that eat other animals. So some classic ones here, the fox, the lion, the shark in the ocean, and of course the wolf. There are definitely lots of others. Decomposers. Now, decomposers decompose. That's what they do. They're organisms that break down wastes and dead bodies of all organisms. Decomposers recycle the nutrients. That's a key word you need to know with the decomposers. They recycle the nutrients back into the soil so it can be used by producers, the plants. Two big examples are bacteria and fungi. So if you see bacteria and fungi in the Castle Learning, decomposers. They break down waste and dead bodies of all organisms. Scavengers. Now, these are a little bit different than decomposers. They don't break down animals, they eat dead animals. They do not decompose them. The biggest examples that you'll see, vultures and hyenas. They eat dead animals. So they kind of wait for the animal to die or to be killed by a lion or something else, and they kind of eat the dead carcass of those animals. So those are called scavengers. Parasites. Parasites are a little bit different. What they do here is they feed off the live organisms called hosts. For instance, his picture here on the right is a ticks. A common problem on Long Island is the deer tick. If a deer tick gets on you and lodges its head inside your skin, because they basically suck your blood, they can give you a Lyme disease. But these parasites live off you. They need organisms to survive. There's a couple of pictures of flatworms and tapeworms here. And what they do, and this is a nasty one in their eye, what they do is they enter into your body somehow, sometimes eating, sometimes through your skin, sometimes other ways. In water, if you're swimming in water, sometimes they get into you. And what they do is they don't want to kill you, they want to keep you alive. That's the important part about parasites. They usually don't kill you because they need to feed off your blood and your body tissues. Okay, so if you see the word hosts, that's a parasite. Do not, if you see organisms living inside or feeding off of, those are parasites. Okay, let's talk about populations. Now, populations, including the human population and others, they can't grow forever. They can't grow forever. So there's this thing called carrying capacity. There's always a capacity in any kind of a gym or auditorium or movie theater you go through. There's a sign that says maximum capacity, 450 people. Why? Because that's the amount of space that it can support. Okay. Now, carrying capacity is affected by other things besides space, but it's the same idea. It's the largest population of any single species that an area can support. Here's the number of rabbits. You can see it rises kind of rapidly, but then it levels off. When you see that leveling off, it's called carrying capacity. So, carrying capacity is dependent on these things called limiting factors. Now, limiting factors are any factors that limit the size of a population. I have examples here. The amount of food, sunlight, water, oxygen, temperature, predators, disease, all of them limit the size of a population. That's why we saw that rabbit population kind of leveling off. There's only so much food. There's only so much space. There's disease and predators that kill them, that keep their populations down. They're referred to as limiting factors because they limit the population. All right. Um, that should be enough for you to get started with the questions. Um, they're all multiple choice. I wish you luck. There's going to be one last assignment. I'm going to decide whether or not it's going to be extra credit or not, but we will talk soon. All right. Have a great day. A little rain coming tomorrow, so stay dry. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.